Move over Dash Diet and Mediterranean Diet, because there's a new kid on the block, the Nordic Diet. Hey guys, in this video I want to talk a little bit about the Nordic Diet. It's a relatively new, still not well known structure of eating. The Nordic Diet, or the new Nordic Diet, is essentially a structure of eating that looks very similar to the Mediterranean diet, with certain differences. Unlike something like the Paleo diet, the Nordic Diet isn't actually based on a typical diet of the ancient Nordic people. Instead, it's a nutrition structure that is tailored to and influenced by Nordic countries, which include Denmark, Finland, Iceland, Norway, and Sweden. The best way to understand what the Nordic diet is all about is to basically think of it as the Nordic version of the Mediterranean diet. And in this video, we're going to analyze how healthy and effective it is. Now, like I said, you can think of the Nordic diet like the Nordic version of the Mediterranean diet. Now, just like the Mediterranean diet, the Nordic diet is plant-based and places a lot of emphasis on a high consumption of whole grains, legumes, fruits, vegetables, and berries, nuts, and plant oils. Now, a high consumption basically means consuming those foods every day, multiple times per day, which again is exactly the same as the Mediterranean diet. Now, the difference between the Nordic diet and the Mediterranean diet in this regard is simply the food choices. The Nordic diet places more emphasis on berries and root vegetables. Now, that's not to say that the Mediterranean diet doesn't promote those foods, it's just that the Nordic diet places more emphasis on them, and both of which are excellent choices. Now, one big key difference between the Nordic diet and the Mediterranean diet is their signature plant oil. The Mediterranean diet is probably best known for promoting the consumption of olive oil, specifically extra virgin olive oil. Olive oil has been praised numerous times as being an incredibly healthy and nutritious food, providing a good amount of healthy monounsaturated fats, vitamins E and K, and plenty of antioxidants. It's been shown to have heart protective effects, as well as possibly anti-inflammatory and perhaps even cancer protective effects. Now, the Nordic diet, on the other hand, promotes rapeseed oil as its signature oil. Now, rapeseed oil isn't nearly as heavily studied as olive oil is. That said, we can view its nutritional content and compare it to olive oil. Now, in terms of calories, both rapeseed oil and olive oil have the exact same amount, since they are both pure fat or oil. In terms of composition, rapeseed oil has a smaller quantity of monounsaturated fatty acids than olive oil, which have been shown to provide heart protective effects. However, rapeseed oil is also slightly lower in saturated fats and is also higher in polyunsaturated fatty acids, both of which are heart protective factors. Rapeseed oil is higher in vitamin E in comparison to olive oil. However, it doesn't contain any polyphenols, which are the powerful antioxidants found in olive oil. Now, all in all, it seems like a pretty fair fight. I mean, olive oil has its, unique properties, but rapeseed oil also has its unique properties. It definitely seems like a healthy choice. The Nordic diet also promotes a relatively high consumption of fish and seafoods, as well as low-fat dairy products. Now, a relatively high consumption usually means one serving per day, or at least most days of the week. Now, the Nordic diet promotes a moderate consumption of eggs, poultry, and some game meats, specifically leaner game meats or leaner cuts like venison or lamb. And a moderate consumption basically means a few servings per week, maybe a serving 3 to 4 times per week. And when it comes to game meat, this is another difference between the Nordic diet and the Mediterranean diet. The Mediterranean diet advocates limiting all red meats to no more than a few times per month, or maybe once a week. And while the Nordic diet is similar in limiting fatty red meats like pork and beef to a few times per month, it does still allow a moderate consumption of lean game meats. And in my personal opinion, I would lean towards the Nordic diet on this one. I think lean game meats are an excellent choice when consumed in moderation. Now, apart from that, again, its structure is very similar to the Mediterranean diet. And finally, the Nordic diet advocates avoiding and limiting fatty red meats, animal fats, sugar, processed meats, and generally processed foods. Now, avoiding or limiting basically means a few times per month or maybe once a week. And this is also similar to the Mediterranean diet. Now, all in all, is the Nordic diet healthy? Well, I would say that it absolutely is. It follows the same basic structure as the Mediterranean diet, which I and a ton of other health professionals agree that it's the healthiest structure of eating out there. It's just modified to be tailored more to the Nordic style of eating and their food options. The Nordic diet places a little bit more emphasis on root vegetables like potatoes and berries, which I think is great because those foods don't get enough attention, I think. And I also agree with the emphasis on game meats. From a nutritional standpoint, the Nordic diet promotes a nutrition that is high in fiber, vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, and healthy fats due to its promotion of whole grains, fruits and vegetables, nuts and seeds, and rapeseed oil. The Nordic diet also promotes a high intake of omega-3 fatty acids because of its frequent consumption of fatty fish, and also a decent intake of calcium because of the frequent consumption of low-fat dairy products. The focus on low-fat dairy products, white meats, and lean game meats instead of their higher fat alternatives is also great at promoting a decreased calorie intake as well as a decreased saturated fat intake, both of which are great in preventing heart disease. If you want to follow a healthy diet and the Mediterranean diet is just too mainstream for you, then you should definitely give the Nordic diet a go. In any case, hope you enjoyed the video and learned something. If you did, ratings are very appreciated, and feel free to subscribe and hit the notification bell for more content just like this. Thank you for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.